Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Armin, and today I'm going to be talking about the math behind EDM. I'm going to be breaking down something that sounds super creative, but it's actually built on math behind the scenes. We're talking about EDM and how producers use numbers, patterns, and grids in everything they make. Even if someone never thinks about math, they are producing EDM. They are doing math every second. So today I want to show you guys how that works in a really simple and interesting way. And to help me out, I called up my friend Casey Kohler, who is a DJ based in Southern California and a very close friend of mine. So I will cut to that. I'm here with my DJ friend Casey Kohler. Casey Kohler, how do you use math when you create a song or
So
a
when I'm
DJ?
making music, although math isn't directly in my mind about what I'm doing, there definitely is math involved. So I can go through a few things that kind of include math. So one thing is BPM, which is beats per minute. So if I'm making a song at 128 beats per minute, you can actually figure out how long one beat is. So I did the math, and one beat at 128 BPM would be about 1.875 seconds. So one little in between kicks, basically in EDM, is 1.875 seconds. Another example is how waveforms are made. So waveforms use hertz as a calculation. So sub the thing that makes stuff go boom is between 20 to 60, 50 to 100 hertz, and that's kind of like the fundamentals of where those sounds lay. Now that doesn't really have math involved, but it has numbers involved. um, One of the main things that includes math, though, it's all done internally. It's sidechain compression. So sidechain compression sits at ratios. So 4 to 1, 10 to 1, and it's basically gain reduction is calculated within the decimals or the loudness of the actual song. Now this might not make sense, but I promise you it kind of does. There's also things like delay and reverb, syncopation. So there's 1/4 delay, there's 1/8 dotted delay, and there's 1/16 triplet delays. So these are obviously all just kind of numbers, not necessarily math equations or anything like that. But in EDM, there's definitely numbers involved, which are kind of done behind the scenes in whatever program you're using. But there's always some type of math that you might just not be doing, but the program is doing for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey Kohler. I hope you guys enjoyed Casey Kohler's big take on the music or the mathematics behind EDM. All right, so slide number two. What is EDM? EDM stands for electronic dance music. You hear it in clubs, festivals, TikTok videos, gaming montages, pretty much everywhere. What makes EDM different from something like a live band is that it's built inside a computer. Everything sits on a timeline. Everything is placed inside a grid, so that structure so that the structure of the song depends on numbers. It is almost like building music with Lego bricks that snap into place. Why math matters in EDM. When producers are working in DAW, the program divides time into equal parts. You choose the BPM, which literally sets fast how fast the grid moves. You pick note lengths, which comes from fractions. You place sounds exactly on beats. The computer handles a lot of the hard math, but producers constantly work with patterns and timing. Even if one sound is off the grid by a tiny amount, the whole vibe changes. BPM, beats per minute. BPM is a perfect example of math controlling the emotion of a song. House is usually around 120, trap around 140, dubstep is around 140 as well. These numbers change how your body reacts. Faster BPM means it feels more energetic. Slower BPM means more relaxed. When a producer picks a BPM, they're actually picking the speed of the math grid that the whole uh, that the whole song will follow. And I'm gonna show you guys a music video real quick. This video kind of depicts how BPM can change your emotions on what's going on in the song.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
I hope you guys enjoyed that one. To continue on, we're going to do fraction math in beats. Music looks complicated sometimes, but rhythm is really just fractions. Whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16 notes. These are just different ways to divide time. When you drag a note in the DAW, it snaps to one of these divisions. If you've ever changed the grid from 1/4 to 1/8 or 1/16, you're literally changing the fraction size of the beat itself. And now we're moving on to subdivision and hi-hat rolls. Trap producers love hi-hat rolls. These come straight from subdivisions like 1/8, 1/16, and 1/32 notes. You can also switch to triplets which divide the beat into 3 instead of 2. This is why trap drums feel bouncy and sharp. They are built from really tiny slices of time. It's all just math slicing the beat into smaller parts. Next, we're going to be talking about how loops are basically just repeating patterns. Loops are one of the most simple and powerful things in EDM. Most loops are 4 bars, 8 bars, or 16 bars. This is why beats feel consistent. You take a 4 bar pattern and repeat it. You can stack different loops together to build energy or remove loops to calm it down. Every EDM song you know is built from repeated mathematical patterns. Uh, Polyrhythms in EDM. Polyrhythms happen when two rhythms with different patterns play at the same time. The common is 3 against 4. So one sound plays 3 evenly spaced hits while another plays 4. It creates tension. Then the patterns line back up. This effect, it sounds complicated, but it's really just two number patterns overlapping. Next, we're going to be talking about song structure formula. One super common EDM layout is based on 64 bars. 16 bars of intro, 16 bars of build up, 16 bars of drop, and 16 bars of breakdown. If you count the bars in your favorite EDM songs, a lot of them follow this. It feels normal because math is predictable. That's why EDM often feels familiar, even if you have never heard the song before. As someone who is surrounded by a lot of people who love EDM, I can very much relate to this. I feel like a lot of EDM songs sound exactly the same, and sometimes it gets a little annoying. I'm not gonna lie, but it's still a very fun environment and great music. Now we're gonna be talking about digital audio and numbers. Now we're dividing into how sound itself is math. Digital audio is literally numbers. When you see a waveform on the screen, that isn't just a picture. It's a computer showing you thousands and thousands of numbers that represent air pressure changes over time. Every tiny bump in the waveform is a number that the computer stored. It is basically a long list of measurements. Sound waves hit a microphone. The mic turns into movement, electricity, and the computer converts those movements into numerical values. So when a producer edits audio, they're basically reshaping math data. This is why digital sound can be copied perfectly, because numbers don't degrade. Sample rate. Sample rate is how many times per second the computer takes a snapshot of sound. The standard sample rate is 44.1 thousands of snapshots every second, which is what you hear on streaming platforms. The reason sample rate matters is because sound moves fast. The more snapshots you take, the smoother and more accurate the sound becomes. It is the same idea as filming in slow motion. If you film in slow motion at a low frame rate, it looks choppy. Same with audio. Higher sample rates give you a cleaner highs and more detail. Some producers use 48K or even 96K, especially for sound design, because it gives you clarity when stretching or reshaping sound. Bit depth. Bit depth controls how much detail the loudness sound can have. 16-bit audio, like what you hear on a CD, can capture about 65,000 volume levels. 24-bit audio can capture over 16 million levels. That's a huge jump. The reason the producers use 24-bit is because it gives them more headroom. Quiet sounds stay clean instead of noisy, and loud sounds don't distort easily. Bit depth is literally just math. It's counting how many possible steps exist between silence and the maximum loudness. Auto tune. That was my impression of someone using auto tune. Auto tune works by measuring the exact frequency of your voice. Every musical note has a number. A4 is 4400 hertz. If you sing slightly sharp or flat, autotune detects how far off you are and snaps your voice towards the nearest correct frequency. It is it does this by using math equations to track pitch changes multiple times per second. That's why vocal hip hop and EDM sound so polished. Autotune isn't magic. It's just frequency detection. It analyzes your singing, compares it to the target note, and nudges it mathematically into place. I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about autotune. Alright, that's enough funny business. Synth waveforms. Synth starts out with simple wave shapes that come from math formulas. A sine wave is a smooth curve made by a perfectly repeating function. A square jumps instantly from high to low. A saw wave rises, then resets. A triangle wave looks like, well, a triangle, if you guessed it or not. These shapes aren't just math patterns. They're repeating over and over. When producers combine them, distort them, filter them, or stretch them, you get you get massive EDM leads, basses, and plucks. Even the craziest dubstep sound starts a simple mathematical wave that gets warped. EQ and filters. EQ is basically a smart volume control for different frequencies. You can raise the low for more bass, boost mids for clearer vocals, or lift the highs to make a sound sparkle. Each slider on an EQ controls a specific part of the frequency spectrum. Filters work the same way, but more dramatically. A low pass filter removes high frequencies. A high pass filter removes low frequencies. When you hear a build up where a sound slowly opens up and gets brighter, that's usually a filter sweep. The shape of the sweep, how fast or slow it changes, is just a curve created by math. Now we're going to be talking about sidechain compression. Sidechain compression is the famous EDM pumping effect, where the kick hits, everything else ducks out of the way for a split second. It gives the music that breathing, pulsing feel that matches the beat. Here's how it works mathematically. The compressor reads the kick's volume. Every time the kick peaks, the compressor instantly lowers the volume of another track, like the bass or chords. Then it raises back up at a controlled speed. The shape that volume change is a curve controlled by attack, release, and ratio setting. It's the math creating groove. Now, volume automation. Automation is when you tell your computer to create something change, to make something change over time automatically. Volume rising, reverb increasing, pitch sweeping, filters, all of that is automation. In DAW, automation is drawn as lines or curves. Those curves are the path the sound follows. Straight lines make linear change, curved lines make smoother, more emotional changes. Producers draw these shapes carefully because even tiny changes the curve completely change how the movement feels. Again, it's just math controlling sound. Is an example of someone explaining this. Future Sean here. Obviously, this audio did not record very well, but he's just explaining the equations that he is using to create a specific beat, and yeah, that's all. Yeah. And yeah. And now we're going to be talking about why math makes EDM powerful. Perfect timing, structure, frequency, and control. Um, when you put it all together, it becomes clear that EDM is built out of numbers, timing, rhythm, pitch, waveforms, frequency, loudness, effects. Every single part of it is mathematical. The cool thing is that you don't need to think about the math when you're producing. The software handles calculations for you, but understanding the math makes you better at mixing, better at designing sounds, and better at creating drops that hit hard. This is why EDM feels so precise and powerful. Everything is locked into perfect timing and the perfect structure. The math behind it gives EDM that clean, crisp, energetic sound that makes it work so well in clubs, festivals, and headphones. And I also have one more special guest to show you guys that will talk about how he uses math when creating his music. So I'm here with my good friend Condi, who is a DJ here in State College, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit how he uses math when he produces music.
Okay, so a lot of people think that once you finish your math classes after high school, you're never going to use it ever again. And for most people, that's true. You might not use math unless if you're calculating what's the best thing to buy at a grocery store. But music is all math at the end of the day. And one of the things I personally use, math wise, every single day in production is calculating how long I should have my reverb on specific instruments. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a specific calculation to calculate how long the reverb should be based off of the BPM of a song, and there's like a correct time on how long you're supposed to do that. And it's a pretty easy calculation, but that's one way that I use math within music production.
So yeah, guys, that was Condi. He's going to be a Thon DJ this year, which is pretty interesting, and it was very cool to hear what he had to say. But yeah, guys, this is my thank you. That's the full presentation. Hopefully, you guys now see how math isn't just music, it's basically the backbone of EDM production. Even the craziest sounds are built on simple mathematical ideas. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something new. And to close this off, I am going to be showing you guys um, Fred again, one of the most popular DJs there are out there. I saw him live in San Francisco City Hall, which was an amazing experience. He did a back to back with Skrillex, which was like made it 10 times cooler. But yeah, this is one of my favorite songs from him, and I hope that you guys enjoy, and I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you. And this is Fred again.
Hello, I got places to be. Pretty, pretty brown, brown. Got me weak in the knees. Slow up, you hold me down. I'm readjusting my speed. I've been gone too long, baby, y'all don't leave. Okay, I'm mashing. Put up on the gas and running up on the sucker was nasty. Shifting my axis. If you believe they put a man on the moon, damn, what I gotta do? I gotta wanna beat that ass, that's right. So we put that fast track like, baby girl, there's nothing that can keep me from you. Haters always wanna keep me from you. Got me breaking down my speed now for you. Please be loyal. Sheesh, you know you got that.
I know I got places to be. Like me next to you, and you next to me. Hello, I got places to be. Like me next to you, and you next to me.
Hello, I got places to be. Like me next to you, and you next to me. Like you next to you, and you next to me, and you next to me. Hello, I got places to be.
Hello, I got places to be.
Thank you, and have a good day.